Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season and New Year as well. This is your 2026 year ahead overview. And as far as how it works, we're actually going to take a look at each of the houses of the zodiac with your sign representing the first house. And actually, once we get through all that, we'll pull an oracle card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck to get some additional insight. And we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have off to the right. As far as the main deck being used, we have the Hermetic Tarot. All right, so let's get started. Okay, we have 8. So 8th house energy for you guys is Taurus. And we still have Uranus that will be in Taurus until around the end of April. But 8th house in general points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. So we could definitely have some focus there this year. All right, we have Sagittarius. And Sagittarius energy for you guys is your 3rd house of communications, short journeys, and siblings. I do see some Sagittarius energy. In fact, we have Sagittarius energy in your 8th house from the main spread as well. And we have Venus. So Venus is actually your ruler. So there's that. But as it moves through the year, it'll pretty much start out in Capricorn and eventually make its way to Scorpio later in the year, but it will actually retrograde in Scorpio early in October, and that'll wrap up around the middle of November. So for you guys, Scorpio, of course, is your 2nd house of possession, self-worth, and finances. So you can definitely see some shifts around that area of life with that retrograde as well, especially given that, like we said, Venus is your chart ruler. All right, so we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the 1st house, we have 6 of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy, and as we can see in this deck, it's referred to as the Lord of Earned Success. So definitely sounds like a positive there, right? So 1st house, of course, pointing to personality, self-awareness, just the self in general. So yeah, looks like you guys can be experiencing some success this year. Now, given that Aquarius energy for you guys, this 5th house too, can be around some kind of creative venture that you might be launching. And I will say it'll probably be more likely something that was hard won as well, right? Because if we look at the artwork there, that's not probably the best way to be holding swords, unless they're very dull, of course. But yeah, to me, this says you might have gone through some tough times, but on the other side of that, now you're actually starting to see some tangible results. 2nd house energy, which represents possession, self-worth, and its finances in general. We have the 4 of Cups. This is Cancerian energy, and we could see it's referred to as the Lord of Blended Pleasure. So yeah, what I'm getting with this, especially if you look at the artwork, right, it looks like the cups are technically overflowing, right, but it feels like as soon as one gets to a certain point, drops into another, right, so you might feel like money's very transitory for you guys this month, right? It's like you have it one moment, then before you know it, it's right back out the door for some other expense, right? So it could just be one of those things where thankfully it'll keep cycling in, right? But you might feel like you just don't even really have the time to enjoy it before it's going back out towards something else. So that could be why I'd saying it's blended pleasure, right? Because obviously, like we said, there is the inflow of money, but it feels like it's going right back out too. In the 3rd house, we have the Queen of Cups. So this is Cancerian energy, and we see it's referred to as the Queen of the Thrones of Waters. So seeing this come out here in 3rd house energy, which we also saw with the Sagittarius symbolism with the dice, I feel like this is saying that for a lot of you, you might actually feel more emotionally connected with your communication this year. And it could also just be saying that through your communication, right, you might connect more with people, and that might actually benefit you as well, right? So maybe you're showing people a side of you that you might not have shown before. But yeah, that's what I'm primarily getting there. Fourth house energy, which in general points to home, roots, family. We have the Knight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. There we go. And in this deck, they referred to it as the Lord of the Wild and Fertile Land. So yeah, seeing this in the fourth house could just be saying your home environment might be improving this year. Maybe you might feel like maybe you're spending a lot of time there. Maybe you had to spend a lot of time to get your home environment to the point where you wanted it as well, right? Given that this is Virgo energy, I wouldn't necessarily point to perfectionism with that, right? But there is at least the willingness to stick to something until you get it to where you want it to be. So that could be what you're feeling like you've gone through this year, or at least as we progress through the year, you might be feeling that energy. But eventually, I feel like this is saying you will get to the point where you do feel like, okay, maybe it took a while, right? Maybe it took more work than I originally planned, but now I'm happy with what I have. Fifth house energy, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So more Virgo energy here. And let's see if we get that to focus. There we go. And we see it says Lord of Material Gain. So yeah, so like we were saying with the first house energy, seeing the Aquarius energy in there, which for you is your natural fifth house. And then in the fifth house, we see Lord of Material Gain. I feel like those two are connecting very well, right? Which is to say that, like I said, maybe there's some kind of creative venture that you might be putting out there this year that's going to lead to success for you. And for a lot of you, this could just be saying that this is something that you might be building on your own as well, given that the Nine of Pentacles in general is a very independent type of energy. All right. As far as the sixth house goes, we have the Seven of Cups, Scorpio energy. And we see it says Lord of Illusory Success, right? So that's interesting there because we were talking about how, like I was saying with the second house energy, wherever it looks like there's this influx of money, but as it comes in, it's going right back out, right? So maybe that's one of those things that you might get a little frustrated with that at times, right? If we look at the traditional artwork for the Four of Cups, looks like someone that's frustrated, right? They have their arms crossed. There's more cups being brought their way, but they don't seem content with those offers, right? So it could just be one of those things where, like, okay, that's great. I have the money, right? But before I even have any chance to enjoy it, it's going right back out the door, right? So you could just feel like maybe it wasn't quite what you signed up for. But yeah, for the most part, it more than likely would be more of a short-term thing, but you could definitely be feeling that energy from time to time as we progress through the year. Seventh house energy, we have the Princess of Pentacles. So this is the equivalent to the Page of Pentacles, and we see in this deck they refer to it as the Princess of the Echoing Hills. So to see the Pentacle energy here coming up in the seventh house could just be saying that maybe you could be trying to secure a more stable relationship. Now, that can be romantic, of course, because seventh house can definitely point to that. But it could also be business oriented as well. So like we said, it looks like you might be building something on your own. So let's just say this is just not only just the money going in and out, right? But you might feel like the work never stops, right? You're like, okay, I don't get a chance to breathe, right? Maybe whatever you're putting out there is popular to the point where you might need to bring others on to help you bring it to at least a long-term flow, right? So you could have to bring others on. So maybe that's what you're considering too, or possibly getting someone to partner up and invest in the business, right? So that you can delegate a little bit more. But that could be what you're looking at as far as that goes. But again, like we said, as far as romance as well, you could just be looking to build something a little bit more stable there. You might feel like it's out of your reach now, but you're working toward it. All right, so in the eighth house, we have the Nine of Wands, Sagittarius energy, and we saw eighth house and Sagittarius energy come up with your dice too. But yeah, it says Lord of Great Strength. So this is if the majority of artwork for Nine of Wands energy tends to be a little bit heavier, right? It looks like someone who's gone through some rough stretches, which calls back to what I was saying with the Six of Swords, really, where, like I said, where you are now might have been a hard won position, basically. So Yeah, I feel like this is just saying, especially given that it says Lord of Great Strength, right? Again, you might be a little bit tired because of the battles you have to go through, but ultimately, I feel like this is saying that what you have gone through, you're still standing, and now you're actually going to start to see rewards for those hard times you did go through. All right. In the ninth house, we have the King of Wands. So Leo energy here, and in this deck, it's referred to as the Prince of the Chariot of Fire. So yeah, looking at this artwork here and thinking about for you guys, Leo energy is your 11th house of groups, friendships, hopes, and wishes. So see this in the ninth house could just be saying that maybe you could be connecting with people at a greater distance than normal. Maybe getting yourselves into different environments. You might actually connect with groups that you really can associate with and feel comfortable with as far as that goes, and they might actually lead you to some greater success. So this could also just be saying, so again, like we said, maybe you put yourselves out there, right? Maybe at a very local business up to this point, right? You decide, oh, I'm going to start posting my stuff online, and maybe you might find that people halfway across the world are interested in what you're offering, right? So it could be a little bit overwhelming, like we were saying, but that could be the type of exposure that you're getting this year. All right, 10th house energy, we have Princess of Wands. So this is the Page of Wands, essentially. And we see it's referred to as the Princess of the Shining Flame. So fiery energy here as well. To see this in your career house. Again, like I said, to me, it looks like there will be a lot of work to do, right? But I feel like you'll be seeing the benefits of it as well. But yeah, you might feel like it's a bit of an adjustment for you as well, right? Because the page energies do tend to be a little bit more youthful, right? Definitely dedicated and on the up and up, but still, feel like they're a little bit new to something. So could feel like a change of pace for you guys this year. All right. In the 11th house, we have Temperance. So Sagittarius energy popping up again here. And I feel like there's a pretty natural flow here from what we were talking about with the ninth house energy as well. So, yeah, like I said, I feel like the groups you might be dealing with this year are really going to be helpful to you, maybe to help you look at things through a different lens that you might not have been accustomed to traditionally. But yeah, we look at, especially with the artwork with this deck, right? Um, Sagittarius sits between Scorpio and Capricorn. And if you think about the traditional deck as well, right, we see the character from the Temperance card with 1 foot in the water, which could be that Scorpio energy, 1 foot on Earth, which could be that Capricorn energy, the earthy energy. So I feel like this is just saying that, yeah, the people you meet are going to actually help bring you into balance, right? Because maybe they're going to help you see things from a different angle that you might not have been accustomed to. Fill in some gaps, right? There may be some blind spots you might have. They might actually help you see things in a different way. And then you're able to incorporate that into your overall success. All right. And in the 12th house, we have the 10 of Swords. So 12th house in general points to um, mental health, spirituality, and blind spots. So obviously a bit of a heavy energy here, right? This deck, it's actually referred to as the Lord of Ruin. As you can see, it's actually technically a Gemini energy. So looking at this here, I feel like this is the same for the most part. Given that it is 12th house, right? I feel like you're going to be just feeling a little bit overwhelmed at times. And like we said, right? Think about through the lens of finances that we were talking about, right? Where on the one end you feel like, oh, great, the money's coming in, but it's also going right back out the door, right? So you might be a little bit stressed about that. Like I was saying, for some of you, maybe you launch some kind of a creative project that's almost more successful than you were expecting, right? So that could be a bit overwhelming at times. So, in the grand scheme of the overall spread, it seems like that's primarily what it's going to be about, right? It's like the stress is going to be very real, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's stress through success, So the main challenge for you guys, it seems, would just be trying to navigate that. And like I said, it looks like people around you will be able to help with that this year. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is Sagittarius energy here. So we're seeing that again, right? Like we talked about with the dice. But yeah, it says Lord of Flame and Lightning. So yeah, to me, this is another indicator. Like I said, you'll have the energy to push through, right? So again, like I said, it might feel overwhelming at times, but I feel like ultimately, right, Lord of Great Strength, Lord of Earned Success, looks like you will be able to push through it. But again, like I said, this might feel like a bit of a jolt of a shock to the system at points. But yeah, we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So, like I mentioned, we're gonna pull a card from the Wisdom Oracle deck. I'm just gonna give this a few shuffles, put the deck down, and we'll pull a card. Okay, we'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what card you guys got. Alright, we have Fork in the Road. There's the artwork, and the number is 13. So we'll see what this has to say. Alright, essential meanings says time to make a decision, considering the consequences as you prepare to act, owning up to your obligation to make a necessary choice. The Oracle's message: every choice has a consequence. You've arrived at a fork in the road and are being asked to come to a decision. Will you further your dreams by choosing left or by choosing right? Will you take the road less traveled or the one well worn by others who have come before you? This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is an important crossroads. Take heart, as no matter which path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. So yeah, I do like that last sentence there, right? Because if you are feeling a little bit stressed out, so like I said, maybe for some of you, it's almost becoming a victim of your own success, right? But like I said, you might be trying to figure out, hey, should I bring other people on to help, right? To help me manage what I have going on? Or do I keep going solo, right? So it could be as simple as that, where you're trying to figure out if you want to incorporate others or stick with the more solo path. But either way, like it says, whichever decision you choose, you'll gain some meaningful experience along the way. The relationship message says you've reached a moment of truth in the evolution of your relationship. Will you choose to open up to the possibility of love or to remain isolated, to go deeper and commit to mutual passion or to walk away? This is a time to take responsibility for your truest desire and follow it. Be honest with yourself about what you want to do, invest, and give, then choose. You cannot make a wrong choice. If you move forward with a relationship, know that it will be based in truth and authenticity. You will have made a conscious decision rather than simply hanging on because you don't want to be alone or ending things because you're afraid of the intensity of genuine connection. All roads lead to lessons you must learn in your relationships. Regardless of the decision you make, it will place you on the path to a truer experience of the heart. So yeah, I like that message there as well, especially given that, like we said, with the seventh house energy, seeing the Princess of Pentacles, right? Like I was saying, on the one hand, maybe you're looking for something more serious, but at the same time, you might feel a little bit out of your element, right? Like you still have a long way to go, so maybe you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable opening up, like I mentioned there, but hopefully that resonated if that's the case. And the prosperity message says you've come as far as you can on this part of your journey, and now you're faced with a choice. Inherent in this choice is the need for change, for evolution, and for a bettering of your circumstances. Narrow it down to just a single question. Who do I need to become, and what do I need to believe in order to live a life with prosperity? Answer honestly and from the heart. Then the decision about which way to go will be effortless. Know that abundance is all around you. Choose to see it, and it will be easier to settle on a direction, for the way will be made clear by your intuition, which knows how to steer you toward your well-being. So yeah, definitely a strong message there as well, because like I said, for some of you, it looks like there is success at play here, but like I said, at moments you just might be feeling overwhelmed, if anything, and just feeling like, just there's this constant in and out, right? Like, okay, the money's coming in, it's going out, it's coming in, it's going out. So hopefully those messages resonated with you guys. And again, hope you have a good new year and holiday season as well. Bye.